Secretary of State Mike Pompeo certified to Congress Wednesday that Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are making demonstrable actions to reduce harm to civilians in Yemen, averting a move by lawmakers to scale back U.S. support for the Gulf countries' participation in the war there. Pompeo said in a statement that the governments of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates are undertaking demonstrable actions to reduce the risk of harm to civilians and civilian infrastructure resulting from military operations of these governments. Lawmakers had added a provision to this year's defense spending bill that set a September 12 deadline for Pompeo to certify that Saudi Arabia and the UAE were taking steps to limit civilian deaths, end the conflict and ease what the UN calls the world's worst humanitarian crisis. If the administration wasn't able to certify that Saudi Arabia and the UAE were taking these steps, the National Defense Authorization Act cut off funding for U.S. military refueling of Saudi warplanes. President Donald Trump signed the defense bill into law just days after the Saudi-led coalition dropped a U.S.-made bomb on a Yemeni school bus driving through a busy market. It killed 40 children and 11 adults, according to the Houthi-run health ministry. Pompeo said in his statement that ending the conflict in Yemen is a national security priority for the Trump administration. We will continue to work closely with the Saudi-led coalition to ensure Saudi Arabia and the UAE maintain support for UN-led efforts to end the civil war in Yemen, allow unimpeded access for the delivery of commercial and humanitarian support through as many avenues as possible, and undertake actions that mitigate the impact of the conflict on civilians and civilian infrastructure, Pompeo said. Yemen's civil war began in early 2015 and has escalated into a multi-sided battle. According to the UN Human Rights Office, 6,660 civilians have been killed in the conflict and more than 10,500 were injured since March 2015. Defense Secretary James Mattis praised Pompeo's move in a statement Wednesday. The Saudi-led coalition's commitment is reflected in their support for these UN-led efforts, Mattis said. Alongside the Department of State, we are actively engaged with